2.5 seconds left. They can't get a shot away. Lead it in for Ross. Ross, a three. Count it good! Kyle Ross, the junior, hits the three at the horn, and Sparta will not go away. It's halftime.
Deseret News Rewind is presented by Heidemann & Associates, a full-service law firm dedicated to winning for you. Call them now for a free consultation. Welcome in Deseret News Rewind. Dusty Litster and Dane Stewart, as always, presented by Heidemann & Associates and brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard.
That's right, Dusty Heidemann Associates, a full-service law firm with locations throughout the state of Utah, including all the way down in St. George. If you have any legal need, give the experts at Heidemann & Associates a call, and if you tell them Deseret News Rewind sent you, free consultation, 801-754-4240.
As we always bring up, if you're looking for that next step in your life, in your career, or even school. If you're past the school age, there's a signing bonus up to $20,000, up to 150 different job training opportunities. Depending on the job you choose, bigger signing bonus.
Yeah.
Also, if you're going to go to college, up to $20,000 in tuition assistance with the Utah Army National Guard. Go to nationalguard.com to learn more about it. But let's get started in this video. A lot to unpack and talk about. Coming out of the Christmas break, I want to say picture's getting clearer because, well, we're going to talk about why it's not so clear. Yeah. Throughout the state of Utah. But let's get to the opening statement brought to you by Heidemann & Associates. Let's talk some RPI, shall we?
Yeah.
But first of all, in 6A, there's going to be a shakeup coming in to the weekend. Fremont was number 1, Davis was number 2. Well, Davis is number 1. Davis is number 1, but your thoughts overall on what we see in RPI? In 6A first.
Yeah, so I think some surprises in this. You talk about the top 3 in Region 1. If you've watched us, I think we believe that they are probably the 3 best teams, or 3 of the best teams. I think some surprise for me, Lone Peak ahead of Skyridge. I did not see that coming. Skyridge, and look, in fairness, this is because Skyridge going out of state, playing down at the Tarkanian.
All they did was play in the
toughest
platinum
division.
Yeah.
You go 3-2, could have gone 4-1, could have, and we're going to slot you at number 7. I don't love that.
Yeah.
It's just the way the RPI is written. That is all going to sort itself out over time. I think Karaman has to be really excited with where they're at. I know Coach Gummersall is saying, hey, we haven't even gelled yet, and yet this is a team that's right in the top 5. I think Corner Canyon, I was surprised by them early on, but they're playing really good basketball right now. Trace Ross is having a really good start to the year. Welling is there, and they got another young Toombs, just a freshman, but a guy that contributes as a freshman. So, not overly surprised, but a couple things here and there was like, that's interesting.
It is interesting because when you look at it that way, it certainly puts it there with Corner Canyon's at number 4. We got to get it sorted out next year. Yeah. Because remember, if you're not playing a bordering state, you get 0.5, but even some of them you get 0. Yeah. So, and there was none of those teams there for Skyridge. 5A, Maple Mountain number 1, and so Maple Mountain's looking really, really good.
Yeah, and we kind of expected, we had the expectations of Maple Mountain this year, right? Sorry, I didn't expect them to be number 1. I was a little surprised at this. You think of 5A and all the good teams in there, but Orem has lost some games as of late. Olympus is not what they were. There's a lot of teams up here that are trying to get things sorted out, and so at the end of the day, when you look, it's like, well, I don't know if I have a better number 1. So I don't have any qualms with Maple Mountain at number 1 right now. But how about this? Tippview number 2, Provo number 3, Woods Cross, Timpanogos, Region 7, Region 8 being very well represented in the initial release of the RPI in boys basketball.
Well, it'll be very interesting to watch how that goes. And as you mentioned, Orem's had some slip-ups lately. We thought they'd be toward the top of that. But a lot of things get sorted out, especially because they're all going to play each other.
Right.
Different than football with all the urgency. Every time we pull this out, you're playing multiple games a week.
Yeah.
This is going to put a lot more information within the system that probably make it a little more true.
Yeah, I mean, the more data you have, the better, right? One of the teams I think is going to be interesting to watch in this whole thing, the Alta Hawks. They have some really good wins, and they have some games where it's like, I wouldn't have thought that would have swung that way. Right now, they're at number 10.
Right.
I think there's a team to keep your eye on in Region 7. This is a team that I think could get up to having a top 5 seeding when this is all said and done. They are really, really good.
We have a surprise team. We haven't forgotten you. Right now, we got some people yelling at the screen. There's a team in purple and black. We'll get to you. I promise in this show. We're going to talk about you. 4A, Skyview. That's not a surprise. Skyview's played the toughest schedule probably in 4A this side of, well, Dixie's pretty close too.
Good to see. How about the South being represented? You have Hurricane, Dixie, Pineview, Cedar. There's a lot of Southern teams. up in that top 5, that top 10. Good to see Bear River, kind of a sneaky team, in there at number 8. It's a team that returns a lot of shooters from previous year, but a coaching change for the Bears. I think 4A is going to be real interesting to watch. Juan Diego a little bit lower. I know, they're trying to get some things kind of organized and aligned for the Soaring Eagle, but this 4A really surprised by the representation from some of the southern regions.
Yeah, that's kind of where it's been fun, where they can get that state tournament down to the Burns Arena. It's kind of fun too. 3A, Manti coming in number 1, San Juan number 2, Morgan number 3, Richmond 4. And how about this going way back machine?
Yeah.
How about the Judge Memorial Bulldogs at number 5?
Judge is really, really good. And we had a highlight this week from Daw, right? And they've got a couple of kids on that team, high-flying players, and I had a chance to see them this week. This is a team that they're bought in, Dusty. They're very active defensively. I don't know that obviously they're not going to run undefeated, right? But this is a team that you got to be prepared for, because the Judge Memorial Bulldogs, got to watch out for them. They'll sneak up on you. And this is a program that's been down in recent years. Feels like they've been, lost some of that tradition, right?
Since Coach Shirk left,
It feels like this is now a staff that has some players that can put some things together. And watch out for Judge. They're sneaky good.
Yeah, they're sneaky good. Let's go 2A real quick. Kanab, number 1. American Heritage, number 2. Parowan, 3. Enterprise 4. And Beaver coming in number 5.
Yeah, I don't know that there's a ton of surprise for me in that top 5.
Kanab's played really, really well.
Yep.
And 1A, Valley, Wendover, Mount Vernon, Paiute, and Intermountain Christian. He played a really tough schedule, too.
Intermountain Christian has played a really tough schedule. They've got the state's leading scorer, Caleb Koski, and had a chance to go see him this week. This is a kid that can score anywhere on the floor. Wendover's not number 1. That kind of surprised me. Typically, they are really, really good. And, but this is going to be fun to watch 1A play out, too, because there's some really good guards in play in 1A as well.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to it. Let's start at number 1. Let's start Region 1. We're standing in the Wolf Den, and I'm going to have to speak in more hushed tones here in just a moment.
Yeah.
How about the Davis Darts?
Wow.
Come into the Wolf Den against Fremont and just do what they've been doing all year long. That is put the clamps on a team's offense and really just make things really tough.
It has been a week for the Davis Darts, Dusty. I mean, they had a game this week against Bingham. They had 4 players score in double figures in that one. They had a game tonight at Fremont. They had 5 players score in double figures in the ball game tonight. Their defense is active. They rebound the ball well. They force turnovers and create. This is a complete team. And I love the question Coach Sims, when we had a chance to talk to him, said this is a unit that is bought in. They don't care who gets the recognition, who gets the credit. They go out and play. They just want to win ball games. And it shows on the floor. There's something different about this Davis team. Region 1, we've said, it is really good. Boy, get out and watch Davis, Fremont, Layton. This is an uncustomary game for Dallin Hall. A lot of that was forced by Davis. Even that, he scored 21 points in the fourth quarter. He still had 30 points in the contest. But this Region 1 is just going to be so much fun to watch. Davis, the win over Bingham, the win over Fremont. They are your number 1 team in the state right now.
Well, and sitting number 1 in 6A, without a doubt. And not that there's more than one guy. Last year we kept talking about Jake Sampson. But Sampson coming off that knee. Vernon, Leanhart, and Jax. I mean, those are guys all you have to pay attention to.
Right.
Because, as you mentioned, all those guys getting in double figures, kind of nuts. We talk about Fremont a little bit. They're going to bounce back. Remember, it's basketball. At my estimation, I don't want to say 6 games are going to choose this region.
Yeah.
And right now, they got. Speaking of Davis is now one of one.
Well, 1-0.
1 of 1.
Oh, sorry. Okay. 2-0 actually in region. Here's the interesting. I don't know. I said it on the stream tonight. I don't know if anyone goes undefeated in this region. It's that good.
Yeah.
Davis, Layton, Fremont, Davis, Fremont. You're going to want to get out to watch these games. High-level basketball. Coach Pope was here tonight. These are teams worth coming out and seeing. You're going to see really high level.
Yeah. Region 2. How about we talk a little Cypress basketball, shall we? How about Maida? Goes to the Riverton Holiday Classic, and all he does is hit 12 threes over the weekend, averaged 27 points, ends up on the all-tournament team. The Cypress Pirates, I guess, something to say about Region 2.
Also had a game winner in that tournament. And, I mean, look, I hate to say I told you so. I told you so. Cypress, Quentin Meza, just a freshman. Just a freshman. And this kid is dropping double figures night in, night out. He is carrying the load for these Cypress Pirates. And saw a nickname for him on Twitter, Cue Ball. I don't know if that's accurate or not. I think it was from his older brother. But this is a young man that can score the basketball. And I heard coming into the year they were going to have a freshman that could shoot. That's him, Meza. And he's got a number of years left for Coach Smith in that Cypress offense. We're getting out to Cypress. It's happening, folks. I'm telling you, it's happening.
A blue and
got a
gold
date.
game,
We haven't released it yet. Coach Smith knows, but we'll let you know. It's coming up soon. It's going to be a really key game for the Cypress Pirates. They host Copper Hills next week. We're going to learn a lot about Cypress in that ball game. Have Copper Hills go to their place. That's huge. But the Cypress Pirates in Region 2, I think they are the best, if not one of the 2 best teams in that region.
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to watch what happens with Taylorsville.
That's the other one.
Got the win over Box Elder, and Cam McKillen is averaging 21 points a game. Taylorsville playing really well. Region 3, this is a hodgepodge of teams. I mean, it's hard to figure out what Region 3 is because Harriman's 9-4. Yeah, LeGrand Burgess doing his thing, did 27 points, 7 threes against Olympus. And Case Peterson, all he does is board and score.
Double-doubles, man. I mean, it feels like he gets a double-double every night. And he might.
After the game, he gets a double-double.
No, he gets a double-double in the game, and then maybe a double-double after the game.
I don't recommend the last part.
Double-double, right? I mean, this Harriman team, look, I think they're still gelling, right? I think this team has a higher ceiling than what they've played at. And they have some really nice wins. How about an overtime win against Olympus, 71-65? That was the game you mentioned. Burgess hit 7 threes in that one. Peterson had 22, just 22 for him in that one. No big deal. Double-figure rebounding as well. He's the number 1 rebounder in the state, is Case Peterson. And this team, as they get more synced, got to watch out for him. Now, Bingham, we mentioned the loss earlier this week to Davis. That's a really good Davis team, as we learned. Weren't healthy for that ball game. Had a player that was out with injury, had another player that didn't play in the first quarter. This Bingham team you got to be really careful for. And how about Copper Hills? Dusty, they lost to Westlake this week 64-62. Stone Hutchings had 24 points in that ball game. They've got some guys that can score the rock. That Copper Hill Cypress game going to be interesting next week, but this region, we haven't even talked about Jordan yet.
Or Riverton.
I mean, Riverton won the Classic.
Yes, they did.
And they got a win over Orem. We saw Orem's like, that Orem team is good. Yeah. This Region 3 is deep.
Yeah, and Jordan got to figure out what it's like.
There's rhythm.
We're always very positive, right? But sometimes you have to learn to play with expectations. Got to the 5A championship game last year, move up into 6A. Sometimes you read your press clippings a little bit. You hear us talk about you, that kind of stuff. They got to figure out what it is to live with some of that stuff as well. And
and I think that's the biggest thing, right? Dyson Kohler, I think he's been really, really good. When we saw them this week, they were down Malafeo. He did not play. He was out on vacation that week. But, still trying to get those pieces to come together. Martine had a really big game for them. He's going to be a real key contributor while they try to get this sorted out. There were some games they lost where I know they don't feel like they probably should have lost those games, but they did. And that just, takes a little bit of time to learn, as you mentioned, learn how to play with expectations.
Let's talk about Region 5.
You skipped Region 4.
Oh, I did skip.
Whoa.
Do you like that?
Do you realize what just happened?
In the words of Kirk Cousins, you like that? There's some interesting shooting choices. We kind of set you up for that one.
Yeah.
How about someone in Region 4, please stand up. And it's Sky Ridge. We talked about it a little bit. They go to the Tarkanian Classic. They're in the Platinum Division. They go 3-2. They go to overtime. And how about this? This is the biggest thing to me. What's going to get going? Snowdy and Reed. And for the I don't know if it knocked them out of it. They averaged both of them over 20 points a game. Duncan Reed had 11 in the last one, and they lost in overtime. But every game going in Island, they both scored over 20 points.
They've been unreal.
Housley was really good as well.
How about this? They played Viewmont earlier this week, right? They won that ball game 72-59. You mentioned Snowdy and Reed, 20 and 19, but Housley had 25 points, hit 6 threes, and 10 assists. That's their big 3. And when Housley gets contributing like that, look out, because this team is as good as any in 6A. And if they're playing in the Platinum Division against in-state teams, they're higher in the RPI than where they're at right now. They're being a little disservice due to the competition that they played. Skyridge is really, really good.
They're really, really good. All right, let's talk about a couple of news and notes. Lone Peak's down another player. Coach Ross, sooner or later, he's going to be looking in the crowd saying, hey, can you come play, and how's your knee? They got some guys going out with knees, but Lone Peak's still sitting fairly decent within Region 4.
Yeah, and
we'll see. Time will tell where it is.
The nice thing about this is, they're Skyridge. Westlake's off to a good start. We talked about it when they had this week over Copper Hills. Corner Canyon, obviously, is off to a good start. But this isn't like the Region 4 of old where you have
last year.
PG, right? Yeah. You have kids
PG's getting better, too.
They are getting better, but I'm just saying it's not like it's been the last 2 or 3 years where that's been the dominant region, right? There have been years where that team that doesn't make the playoffs would win another region. I don't feel like that's the case in Region 4 this year. So it feels like they still have an opportunity to compete in that region, but you're right. They've been banged up. How about American Fork starting to get their rhythm going a little bit? Had a nice win this week over Taylorsville. I know a lot of people are going to scoff at that, but that Taylorsville team has some good players, and they're getting healthy as well. Noah Moyaki, 29 points. I don't care who you're playing. You score 29 points, Yeah, you're starting to see some of that leadership show up for American Fork. This Region 4 is starting to get better and more competitive. You mentioned PG. That's another team you got to keep an eye out for because that youth is growing up quickly as well.
Well, here's the great thing. Every team's already in.
Yeah.
You're already in.
Yeah.
I don't know worry about, hey, our guy didn't get in, his better, team didn't get in, his better yours. But here about this Corner County real quick, reigning 5A champions, Trace Ross, Carter Welling. They're learning what it's like to be the guys.
Yes, they are.
And it's taking them. All right, I went ahead. Now.
Yeah, thank you.
Start here in Region 5. And, Box Elder has some tough losses, but Region 5 still trying to, outside of Woods Cross, and maybe Farmington, kind of look at a two-horse race.
Well, and don't forget Bountiful. I mean, this is a team in Bountiful that I don't think they've really gelled yet either.
They have it.
And that's the scary thing, right?
I suppose, yeah.
Whaley, Chisholm, they've got guys that can score. I think Bountiful is going to work things out. Box Elder, you talk about Riley. How about Riley Dahlgren? One of the top scorers in the classification. He's averaging 19 points. He's the number one three-point shooter in 5A. Riley Dahlgren for Box Elder. And then, of course, you talk about the Farmingtons and the Woods Cross, which we've seen. And this Region 5, I think, has more parity this year than in years past.
I kind of dug a little bit. Coach Maxwell, I know they're going to get really, really good. And we have someone good as Whaley and Chisholm got a shot. Region 6, man, this is not. I mean, Brighton's playing really, really well. And didn't expect them to, but right now it just doesn't feel like a normal Region 6.
Yeah, how about Highland at the bottom of the region? What? I mean, it's been a while. That just doesn't feel right, right?
A long time.
Yeah. We talk about Region 6. I think Olympus, you're starting to see that team gel a little bit. Players starting to learn their role, understand the offense. You got a lot of new faces there for Coach Barnes this year for the Olympus Titans. Murray, this is a young team. I mean, saw Murray this week. They are sophomores and freshmen all over the floor. Now, that means you might take your lumps this year,
right,
but they're building something. And watch for a young freshman, Chudy. That kid is going to be a stud for Coach Workman. This is a team that you start to feel like it's starting to come together. They got some pieces there, do the Murray Spartans. East, Mulebea, but that's a team that's like, some nights.
Yeah, exactly,
some
up
nights.
and down.
Yeah, so Region 6, we'll see if it gets worked out over time.
All right, Region 7.
Yeah.
How about the purple and gold, or probably purple and gold, purple and black. I always do that because I like make Lehigh mad at me. Close down the old gym.
Yeah.
How about Gonzalez? The poster to close down the old gym, bring in the new one.
He's had some big nights as of late. How about his game against East? 29 points, hit 3 threes. Blake Hill scored 12 in that ball game as the Lehigh Pioneers 69-54. This is a team that has some really impressive region wins in the early part of the year as well. The Pioneers, look out.
Yeah, really, really good. We talk about Alta has their moments. Orem, they're up and down, but we know as Taft goes, they go. How about Timpanogos, 11-1?
Yeah. Another team to keep an eye on.
Sorry, Timpview 11-1.
Oh.
Timpanogos 9-2.
Both those two teams to keep an eye on. Alta had a nice win over Olympus. Jaden Brownell, young man we're going to talk about more. Hunter Humphreys, he's a young man that doesn't get a lot of pub because he's not going to go out and lead them in scoring, but he does a lot of great things running that offense for Coach Barker. Very good defensively as well. This Region 7, really, really deep.
How about Springville? We told you, hey, look out for them, look out for them.
Yeah.
They slipped up the next game against Dixie. Maybe thought too highly of themselves. They thought too much of what happened in Mount Pleasant, but since then, took care of Crimson Cliffs, beat Westlake 57-55, and then dusted West. But this team from Springville is really good.
Yeah, you got to watch out. I think we saw their potential in the game against Wasatch Academy, but also showed that they're not Superman, right? Yep. And they have a kryptonite as well. They've got to keep their heads out for. Will Harris, young man from Wasatch. We've seen him for a couple years now, senior year for Will. Watch his development. These Wasatch Wasps will be an interesting team in Region 8. And oh, by the way, Maple Mountain, your number one team.
Yeah. Let's get to the quick hits. You brought to you by the Utah Army National Guard.
How about we talked about Intermountain Christian, Caleb Koski, the number one scorer in the state, 28 points per game. Young man worth going out to watch. He had a little bit of a tough week at the Juan Diego tournament. I shouldn't say that. He had a couple games where he scored over 20, had his lowest output of the year against Summit Academy in that tournament, however. But he's a young man that can score from all over, leading scorer in the state this year for Intermountain Christian.
Well, how about Manti? They came in at number 1 in 3A, and they lose their game against Dixie in a close one, but able to bounce back and win their last 2 games down at the Walker Classic. And this is a team led by Michael Moore. Not that Michael Moore, different Michael Moore. But he's documenting a great year for the Manti Templars.
You want to know a team we didn't talk about in Region 7? Mountain Ridge. You want to know who beat Mountain Ridge? Right. Judge Memorial. Oh, sorry, Judge. How about this? 59-58.
It's a friendly bowl. We're okay.
All right. Dane Mayer scored 27 points. Tarver had 14. Told you, Judge is really good.
Another team to kind of keep an eye on. How about American Heritage? They're 7-1. They beat Beaver by 5 earlier this week, or pardon me, that was last week. With all the Christmas stuff,
it's weird.
Messing up my notes
Yeah.
is Connor McKee, 22 points in that win for American Heritage.
How about Canyon View? They handed San Juan their first loss of the year, and they did it decidedly, 76-49. Jackson Jorgensen had 23. Trevor Farrow had 18. Canyon View with a big win.
Well, and I almost wanted to go through a little bit of San Juan because they bounced back. They've won 3 straight. They lost 2 in a row.
Lost 2.
And then won 3 straight.
Yep.
But how about Kanab? We talked about them. They're 11-0 on the year, and the Kanab Cowboys got a win earlier this week. North Severe. Again, this is last week. My notes are all over the place. I'm December 28th. I'm in broadcast week.
Yeah.
But big nights always for Sam Orton and Nathan Houston and Clay Shakespeare.
We got some double-doubles to talk about. How about Roland Hall, 61-48 victory over Utah Military. 3 players for Roland Hall had 10 rebounds. That's what I'm talking about. Go get the basketball, right? Isaiah Adams, 21 and 10 in the win.
Any other ones for you?
I'll go one more.
Okay.
Yep. How about Paiute over Milford in this one? Zach Sherwood for Milford had 26 points, hit 3 threes, but wasn't enough. Glebe with 20, Justin with 17 to lead Paiute in the win.
Very interesting to watch what happens. RPI, normally we go into closing statement, but closing statement, we already talked about it. It's the RPI and what's going to change. Hit us up with your thoughts on some of the best teams in the state who we're missing. We'd love to hear from you as well. Let's check out the girls' video as well. For Vince Francis and Dane Stewart, I'm Dusty Lister. Thanks for joining us, watching Deseret News Rewind on Deseret.com.